get to our third interview of the evening, and that is with a wonderful gentleman who I'll ask to join us now. Let's see if I can find his name here. Here we are. Okay, go live. And this is going to be Bob Abelman. And Bob is, I'm going to have to give him a beating. He's a former New Yorker. Bob, how are you
Hey,
there, sir?
good to see you.
Likewise, likewise. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Bob.
I am so blurry on this screen. I actually don't look like that in real life.
My wife sometimes tells me that maybe it should be me that has the blurry screen, so my appearance would look better if my screen resolution wasn't so. So I think you're just fine. You're just fine. All right. So Bob, you are a writer, and you are formerly a resident of New York, right? You were in Smithtown, New York.
And raised, right?
And at what point did you betray us and and leave New York to
And
head out to Cleveland?
uh, I left New York after I decided that I was not going to be a professional actor, and went on to grad school, which took me to Michigan and to Texas, and then eventually I landed in Cleveland.
Okay, all right. So you were here in New York for a good number of years, and before you're a writer now, we're going to talk about your book in a little while. But before you became a writer, you had the acting bug. You gave acting a shot. And what kind of stuff, what kind of work did you do here in New York when you were attempting to be an actor?
Oh, I got my equity card when I was just a kid, doing summer stock theater out on Long Island in upstate New York. I acted throughout college. I got an opportunity to do a role on Broadway after college, and realized that it's a business,
Absolutely.
and that most of the people I was on stage with were so much better than me, and I think needed it more than me. And it was that point that I decided to go in a different direction. And actually, didn't step on stage until much later, 20, 25 years later,
Hmm.
um, after I became a theater critic here in Cleveland. And my editor, who knew that I used to be an actor, thought it would be fun for me to get back on the professional stage to do a show and to write about the experience, sort of like do a George Plimpton, but not in sports, but behind the scenes on the other side of the footlights in a professional production, and write a series of articles for the newspaper. And that's actually what led to this book, All the World's a Stage Fright, because the book started out as a memoir, and then I realized that it would be so much more fun and so much more interesting if I was able to fictionalize my experiences.
And it's not, I was reading the summary of your book. I haven't had a chance, unfortunately, to read the book, but I was reading the summary. I was reading, a couple of things about it, and it seems like a real fun book. It seems almost like a Shakespeare version of do you know the show Noises Off?
Sure.
It seems kind of something in that vein, where it's the drama of what's happening backstage more so than what's actually happening on stage. You know what I mean?
That's
And
exactly Yeah, that's exactly right. But there's an added ingredient in that my protagonist is a theater critic like me. It's a
like
fiction,
yourself.
and he's in the world of the previous guests that you had.
Hmm.
So he's an outsider transplanted into this world of Shakespeare plays, and he is so ill-equipped. So battle with the bard about what he has to go through, what all these Shakespearean actors had to go through early in their careers. He's doing it now professionally, mastering iambic pentameter, memorizing all that Shakespeare speak. And to add to the equation, he's on stage with classically trained actors that he's recently panned in his reviews in the past.
Oh goodness,
Animosity. And the audience is filled with critics that can't wait for him to fail. So it's very funny. Um, uh,
that sounds fantastic.
novella, that you're right. It takes a look at what goes on backstage during a professional Shakespearean production. Yeah,
And
it takes place.
when did you write the book, Bob?
I wrote the book during the pandemic. I had started writing the memoir a couple of years ago
Hmm.
when again when my editor asked me to do a production. The production was Yentl.
Okay.
Is a great equity regional theater. It's a Tony Award winning theater. it was a great experience. And I started writing this memoir, and I thought while I'm writing it, God, wouldn't this be much more experience if I was in a different play? If I went just down the road to Great Lakes Theater and did their production of As You Like It.
Hmm.
So in my mind, that's where this novel went. So I started writing it, years ago when I did this experience, but I picked it up again during the pandemic.
Hmm. All
Uh,
right.
and I don't know if your experience or the people that are listening was the same experience as mine, but I remember when the pandemic hit and everything was, theaters were closed and everybody was isolated, that there was a lot of Shakespeare online. Uh,
Hmm.
that London's National Theatre streamed Twelfth Night for
Right.
free.
Right.
Um, Patrick Stewart on his Instagram site read every sonnet of Shakespeare as if the words of Shakespeare were a bomb.
A salve. Right.
All that was happening as it was back in the 1600s.
Right.
So I write this book as a love letter to Shakespeare, as a love letter to theater, and as a love letter to all the folks that do Shakespeare on stage professionally.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. And did you in the course of your studies and your own experience, did you do much Shakespeare yourself also, or no?
I've never been. I was in the Shakespeare play in high school.
Okay.
I was the murderer in Macbeth, and opening night.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
Nightmare of experience that made it so I never did Shakespeare professionally, which made the journey in the novel so much more fun. I mean, my character in my avatar is a real outsider, and so am I.
Hmm.
Uh, that kind of added to the fun. So no, I've never done Shakespeare, but as a theater critic, I've read every Shakespeare play multiple times before I go and review it. Cleveland is a top-notch theater community. It's second only to New York City, as a matter of fact, in terms of the downtown theater district.
Okay.
Um, we have great Shakespeare here, so I really had to study. I had to brush up my Shakespeare, uh,
Absolutely. That sounds great.
and all that came in really handy in writing this novel.
Oh, I got to tell you, it sounds fantastic, and we'll connect afterwards, and I'll get. I think you already sent me the link for how to get a copy of the book, so I'll have to pick that up. That
Anybody can go to Amazon.com or any of the other book retailers and look up All the World's a Stage Fright.
All the World of Stage Fright by Bob Abelman, and it sounds like a real fun read. And I really just I wish I could pick up a copy right now and read a chapter with you right here on the air, but it sounds fantastic. So Bob, I thank you so much. I encourage the audience to check. I'll share the link for your book afterwards when we put this up on the recording of it online. I highly encourage everyone to check it out and follow the links and find your book, All the World's a Stage Fright on Amazon. It sounds like a great read. I thank you for joining us here, Bob, and I hope to communicate with you again soon.
Okay, take care.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so that was Bob Abelman of the novella of the book All the World's a Stage Fright, which is a fictional, semi-autobiographic but fictionalized account of a theater critic who somehow ends up on stage doing Shakespeare and is afraid of being savaged by the very theater critics with whom he was a colleague before. So check that out on Amazon, anywhere where books are sold online, and I'm sure you can find it. Again, All the World's a Stage Fright by Bob Abelman.